Masters of the Anima is a new RTS game that will remind you a lot about Pikmin, though with its own unique twists and quirks on the classic gameplay. This new indie game is available this week for $17.99 on the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Jump into a world of fantasy as you take on the role of the newly appointed Master of the Anima, on a journey to rescue his fiancée. In Masters of the Anima, you play as Otto, an apprentice to the Anima, also known as the power or source of all life in this world. Otto is engaged to the lovely Anna, a Master of the Anima, and though they are engaged, they can't be married until Otto himself becomes a Master too. This starts us off on our adventure to begin the process of becoming a Master, though things quickly go sour as Anna is kidnapped by the evil Tsar. Tsar, being another user of the Anima, uses it for evil and summons golems to do his bidding. Now Otto has to go after his fiancée and slowly become a true master of the Anima in the process. The fate of his future wife and at this point the rest of the world are in his hands. The story is told through in-game text and voice conversations during every level that somehow ends up having a better ratio of voice to text than the recent Ni no Kuni 2. The cast of characters from the hero Otto to the devilish Tsar are absorbing and captivating. They kept the story feeling rather appealing and, despite not being such an original story, fun to watch. Masters of the Anima has a lot of traits that you'll find in a Pikmin game. Team management that leads into environmental puzzles, hazards, and eventually boss fights. You play as Otto, a recently appointed Master of the Anima. As a Master, you can gather the Anima, the energy orbs you see scattered throughout the world, and form guardians from it. Much like the different colored Pikmin in a Pikmin game, you can get different types of guardian throughout the game. When you first start the campaign, you're eased into the mechanics of it all with only one type of soldier, or guardian. Otto can pretty much just walk and swing his staff. Although through the leveling system you can gain XP from battles and old shrines that give you points. These points can then be used to upgrade your character with new skills like a dodge roll move or just general stat buffs. So while you do start off as a simple character, you can quickly rise up in the power ranks with the skill tree. The same goes for your army of guardians. Early on you get a set of on-foot soldiers made of the Anima. Very much like a Pikmin game, you can control them to move individually, as a group, or in sections. I played primarily on the PS4 Pro and the control scheme was pretty easy to adapt to. Pressing square lets you swing your staff, circle calls your army back, X lets you charge your army, and then triangle lets you select a certain section of your army. Through different inputs of button holds, taps, and combinations with R2, you can do much more with your Anima. For example, the gauge at the bottom right of your screen is your Anima. This fuels just about everything you do in the game. Your guardians are made of it, so summoning a new one actually uses up one of those orbs. Dissolving your guardians restores the orb. You can even choose to use the orb to power up a section of your guardians for a brief strong attack against a boss. While you do spend a lot of time managing your team, you're more specifically managing your Anima and how you use it. The campaign is formed out of sectioned off levels usually filled with puzzles, waves of enemies, and occasionally a boss fight. The puzzles have you use different types of guardians to move large platforms, activate shrines, or just guide your way through a dangerous path. Different guardians offer different skills. On-foot guardians, for example, can move heavy platforms, but then archer guardians can shoot switches on higher ground. You'll have to coordinate the right guardian for the right job, and that falls more importantly onto the fights. In earlier parts of the game, you'll get thrown an individual enemy just to give you a hang of how things will work. However, as you progress, you'll come across multiple enemies at once, and that's where you'll have to learn which guardians to use and how to use them to possibly distract an enemy while a whole nother group attacks and so on. There's this whole sense of strategy and challenge to the game that never felt too frustrating but instead rewarding. If I kept on failing a fight, I knew it was on me rather than the gameplay mechanics and simply just took a different approach to the fight. The level system I mentioned earlier also plays a part in your guardians, as you can use the skill points to upgrade your guardian types too, not just your main character, thus adding a new layer of strategy to the game. The most intense moments of the game were of course the boss fights that usually introduced one big enemy that could summon smaller enemies. These were incredibly challenging as they forced you to plan out how to use your Anima not just for one big enemy, but also all those smaller enemies you had previously thought were challenging in the levels leading up to the boss. When I first started playing this game, I was afraid the game would come off as a Pikmin clone, but it actually ended up being a more amusing and interesting take on the classic gameplay. While the setup is similar no doubt, it adds in its own unique take with the guardians and the skills, along with them being fueled by the Anima. It provided a familiar yet fresh take on the classic Pikmin gameplay, and I really enjoyed it. Masters of the Anima has some pretty simple visuals that'll take you across different terrains such as the sunny forest to the snowy tundra. The art style kinda looks like an RTS game made in Project Spark. It's not my favorite art style, though I'm sure the more simple art style contributes to the handling of 100 possible guardians at once. I primarily played on the PS4 Pro, though also played a bit on the Xbox One X as well. Both versions ran at a pretty solid 1080p 60 including the original PS4, though if you end up playing on the Xbox One S hardware, the resolution gets dropped a bit, showing much more jaggies on the character models and their shadows, and the same goes for the Nintendo Switch version, though I couldn't really confirm the specific resolutions. The visual choice I personally really didn't like were the occasional cutscenes that were just pans of drawn art. The art is great, though it's heavily compressed even on the higher end enhanced consoles. It's really off-putting to see when combined with the sharper image gameplay. I was quite taken back and generally surprised how well the voice acting was done in this game. For one, I didn't expect to have every text conversation come along with full-on dialogue, and that was a nice and welcome surprise. It's even better when the voice acting was actually pretty well done. Characters felt unique and actually motivated in their roles to both save their fiancé and also take over the world. The quality continues on into the sound effects and music. The music is set up to match the sci-fi fantasy setting of the game, and there's this attention to detail with the sound effects that take into account all the pieces of the environment. You can hear a river flowing through the forest, a change in steps when you go from the forest to the tundra to a stone temple. The attention to detail really does show, and it's better because of it. Masters of the Anima was a surprisingly fun and entertaining game that I just wasn't expecting. I went into this game sort of expecting a complete clone of Pikmin, but instead I got a new and appealing take on Pikmin's gameplay, with a new sense of challenge thanks to the Anima management. The story, though not entirely new with the whole kidnapped female setup, was fun with a gripping cast of characters and an even more captivating management system. Add on top of that a mostly well done presentation with the exception of a maybe too simple art style, and overall I thought Master of Anima was an engrossing game that was well done and well worth for the $18 price tag. That does it for my review of Masters of the Anima for the Nintendo Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. If you have any questions about the game or upcoming games you'd like me to review, let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button to be informed when I upload a new video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.